Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and before I get into the topic of tonight's show, I want to let people know today, everyone probably knows it's Giving Tuesday because I don't know about you, but my mailbox and my email box have been full of appeals from very worthy nonprofits. But I wanted to draw attention to one local New London nonprofit, Hearing Youth Voices, and they are in line to get maybe a $50,000 award, and people need to vote for them. They're in second place, and the deadline is noon tomorrow. So this is how you vote for Hearing Youth Voices. You text the number 22333, and then your message is the code 626734. So help a great local, oh, here. Okay, we can, okay, that's, okay, so that'll help. A little gratuitous close up there. Tonight my guest is Cathi Strother, who lives in East New London, or now known as Northeast New London, I guess, and has been involved in a lot of organizations that have been doing work in the Hodges Square area, including Hodges Square Village Association and Riverside Park Conservancy. So welcome, Cathi.
Thank you. No close-ups, Bob.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. So I guess I can start out by asking you, like, how you got involved with all this activity surrounding both Riverside Park and Hodges Square neighborhood.
Dennis Downing.
Really?
Yes, Dennis Downing said, Cathi, please help us. And I said, no, I'm too quiet. I don't like doing stuff like that.
You're kidding.
Yeah. And then the inner me came out, the Jersey girl came out, and I am really, from Jersey, so we're kind of, loudmouth. So thank you, Dennis. And I started doing the do-gooder stuff, fighting for the right to keep our park in our neighborhood. That's my backyard. And that's when we formed the Riverside Park, Save Riverside Park.
Yeah, it started out with the Friends of Riverside Pack.
And then we went to Riverside Park Conservancy. It was a very tough battle, but we won. And then we started, we just, did the placemaking. And then out of that, formed a group called Hodges Square Village Association, and it's a group of business owners and people that live in the neighborhood, and I co-chair that with Forrest Scalar from Copycats. He's one of the owners of Copycats. He's very, very involved, and some of the other owners are businesses down there. So Robert Lee from Lee's Market, but other businesses are involved as well. And we started doing just minor things down in the neighborhood, just little changes with no help from the city. Donations we went after ourselves, our own money that we raised. The Connecticut College was a tremendous help to us, along with the Coast Guard. We painted the wall, well, not me personally, the Connecticut College students painted the wall across from Mr. G's at the gas station right there, and they did a tremendous job.
It still looks great.
It still looks great. I mean, it's unbelievable. They did the planters right across from Sliced Pizza is, next to Copycats, is Hodges Square Village Park. It's private property, but it is a park open to the public. We have benches that the Connecticut College students built, along with the Coast Guard help, along with the city. Actually, some city employees just came down and helped. I mean, they were unbelievable. Daryl Finizio was so helpful, sending down some of his people to help us, and they were tremendous. And so they came down, and we have benches, picnic tables, Adirondack chairs. So that's open to the public, but it is, again, private land, so we don't have to go by any rules or regulations of Parks and Recs. No offense to Parks and Recs, it's just that it's regulated by Hodges Square Village Association. We also got the monument back. That was donated money to move the monument back from Lyman Allen all the way right in front of Hodges Square.
And it was kind of hidden for decades.
Hidden behind, just sitting behind Lyman Allen. We have all the plantings around it that were donated. Well, somebody paid for them, but we've also put up posters and stuff in the empty storefronts so they don't look so bad anymore. And we bought benches. We've got money donated to us with benches, the garbage cans that we purchased. We purchased benches, bicycle racks, just to improve it, to improve the area. I mean, we're not done. We still have a lot to do, but a lot of it has been without funding. Most of it, 90% of it, 95% of it has been without funding from the city. I don't know if we got any funding from the city except for the help with the parklet with some of the work that we did down there when the Coast Guard and the college came down and helped us. So it's been work in progress, but it's been a tremendous amount of work that we've been doing.
And what's interesting to me, tracking back over the last, it's 2016 now, wow, 7 years maybe, that just the attitude in the city has changed so much. The parklet actually came through the Planning and Zoning Commission because there were no regulations that allowed for private land to be used as a park unless it was like next to another, next to another enterprise, like the Hygienic Art Park is attached to the Hygienic, even though it's sort of the same kind of private park that's open to the public largely. But there never was the ability to have private land be open to the public like that unless it was accessory to some other use. And so this effort actually changed the way things are done in the city, and there could be more parks like that as a result of your efforts. I think it's great,
yeah. I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's kept up. We have people within the businesses and people that live in the area who come down and clean up the area by themselves.
They were really nice, like picnic, temporary wood picnic tables there as
with
well.
the umbrellas and everything. Mr. G's had their 50th anniversary party there. They put the lights up. I mean, they had like 50 people there. It was really, really nice. So, you drive by there in the warmer weather, not now, but in the warmer weather, people out there having their lunches and stuff. It's very nice. So it's a great spot, especially, in the warmer. Now it's a little bit too nasty, but.
Yeah, it's still much nicer to drive through. Well, thinking back over the last 7 years, it was almost exactly 7 years ago, December 2009, that Norman Garrick was a guest on this TV show, and he works up at UConn, and he was driving down from Stores, and he drove down Route 32 and William Street and to downtown and to my house. I was feeding him before the show, and I had invited Art Costa also because he was the one who had made the connection between us. And Norman's remark was, I drove through this neighborhood, like there were 2 colleges and then there was downtown, but in between there was nothing. Like it was like a void. And so you got to downtown, it was only 3/4 of a mile away, but like there was no presence of students or cadets in the downtown. And so in 2010, when counselors and many community members were saying, no one really cares about that area, actually starting 2009, we had started, and there were some charrettes at Conn College that spring, in spring 2010, to talk about how to re-enliven that corridor. So it's kind of exciting that some of this stuff has happened.
A lot of things are coming to fruition, like we have what we call, and that we've been working on for years. It just takes years to sometimes get people motivated to return phone calls or whatever. What we call the Under 95 project is to change the lighting under all the highway. Change that lighting. Put murals under there. That's what our goal is, and hopefully changing the landscape area over there as well. Perennial Harmony has done a lot of work for us. I mean, they are unbelievable how much work they do just for free. And donations that they get to pay for the stuff that they do. But so we have bigger plans to do more things. But I think just changing the whole landscape area, like even in front of the Hodges Square building, has made it so much nicer. Driving under those bridges, how much nicer it would be to change the lighting under there, put murals under there. How much nicer that would be. So now that's more welcoming for people when they drive through there, and they're not driving through at 50 miles an hour, which they still do, and they need to slow that traffic down. But they're doing a lot of grants right now, the City of New London, and there's a lot of things in the works right now that the colleges, the Lyman Allen Museum, and the Coast Guard are all on board now, along with the city, and they're applying for all these grants, trying to bring bike paths and a lot of different things to Hodges Square area. So a lot of things are coming to fruition. It's taken a while, but I think some major changes are coming even to the neighborhood. We've been recognized as a state historical.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
And including Riverside Park, which we have one of the Sandy Hook playgrounds there, which is very, very important. It's vital for our neighborhood. And we're up for federal recognition for historical. It doesn't mean you get that plaque on your house. That's something you would have to go to landmarks to do if you wanted to do that.
Right, and most of the houses in the neighborhood probably would are old enough that they would qualify if the owners wanted
if
to
they
go
wanted
through.
to. We did go door to door to invite people. Our Hodges Square meets the second Monday of each month at the Sun Turtle, which is one of the businesses that is involved. And it's behind Mr. G's. It's a business office furniture, and Ray is involved with our group. And we meet there the second Monday of each month. And I forgot my whole train of thought.
I don't remember either. We'll get to that.
Oh, all right.
Well, I wanted to mention, and I don't know if this had anything to do with your train of thought, but when you mentioned Sun Turtle, there is a bicycle connection there that's really important. Yes. And when you're talking about grants, a lot of the grants, I think, and we'll go through them in more detail as the show goes on, but are about like how to get from Hodges Square to various places.
Exactly.
And Hodges Square is almost a central point. If you want to ride a bike or walk to Groton from New London, you can go over the Gold Star Bridge and you pass Mr. G's and Sun Turtle to get up
Bailey
on there.
Circle. Yeah, Bailey Circle is very important. So that's an area. Yeah, that's an area that needs work that we've looked at to clean that area up. Put something down there because it is desolate down there. It needs some cleaning up. I know the buildings back there are all in good condition. I know Copycats just built a new building back there. Mm-hmm. Sun Turtle is in great condition. All the buildings are very nice back there. It's industrial, but Mr. G's is back there. There's a lot of parking used back there, but still make it more inviting. So when the bicycles come off of that pathway, it's easy to understand where you're going.
And that is one of the challenges, that someone comes from Groton to New London and they end up in Hodges Square. And in the past, Like how do you get, I guess it's obvious if you were going up to the colleges from there, but if you're going anywhere else in New London, it's very confusing.
It is. And one of the things that we're hoping to get in Hodges Square is a coffee shop. How great would that be to bring all the college students down, the Coast Guard cadet? There's a lot of traffic pattern that goes through there, and by narrowing the roads, slowing down the traffic, bringing bicycles more into that area, to have where the Portuguese fisherman was, to bring something in there with Wi-Fi or something. We're hoping somebody starts a coffee shop in that area. That would be great.
So if anyone's watching and you want a business opportunity, it's really up and coming. Thinking back, before we talk in detail about the grants and the upcoming thing, I mean, Hodges Square at one time was a very vibrant part of New London, and the highways came and that kind of cut it. And you mentioned the under 95 projects to make it less daunting to travel under those highway ramps and bridge entrances, but it's just it's actually frightening.
It is.
It is
if
not
you're used
comfortable
to the area,
at all.
You're used to it.
Right.
But you drive at a rate of speed, but still, it is not the most comfortable area to drive through.
Right.
So that's something that we're trying to change.
And that's even along William Street to Huntington, but then the whole State Pier Road area. So the highway kind of cut off Hodges Square from the rest of the city, and then acres and acres of apartment houses, low-income housing was built, and I think it's fair to say it has not been well maintained as a welcoming area since then. So people don't feel very comfortable going from one place to the other on foot or even by bike.
Correct.
So there was a general decline, and as you know better than anyone, by 2010, when the city was seriously talking about selling it, people in New London thought the whole neighborhood was a dump.
Yeah.
Now
that's a shame.
And you live there, so
I live there. That's a shame. That's a shame. My husband grew up there, and it's and people talked about that park like it was nothing but trash. And we've been working on that for so long, that Riverside Park, because it was left to be overgrown. People talked about, there's nothing but needles down there, and homeless people, and that was so far from the truth. There's so many lies spread about Riverside Park. It was just ridiculous, and I'm so glad that people who even spread those lies are now on board with the fact that is such a gem. It is the jewel of New London, and it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a beautiful park. You can have picnics there, you can grill there. It's right on the Thames River. It is a beautiful, beautiful park. It connects right to the school, which was the school's intent when it was built as a magnet school. So to say that, all those, it was overgrown. It was left to by itself to let's figure this out. And it just became an overgrown park. I know the Conservancy, the City of New London has stepped up, and a lot of groups come out there to volunteer to help maintain the park. So I think with us all working together, it has become just the beautiful park that it has become.
And once again, like Hodges Square, it's like after 50 years of decline, the turnaround isn't immediate.
Exactly.
It's definitely noticeable, but we're hoping this year to get a grant to remove invasive plants from some of the areas that are taken over by bittersweet or Japanese knotweed. Though interestingly, there are some parts of Riverside Park that have been so neglected over the last century that the ground wasn't disturbed, and there really aren't many invasives in some of the areas.
I know.
But there are some areas that have been more disturbed, and you can't see the water because the Japanese knotweed or the bittersweet vines are obscuring it, and that's a shame. That is, well, maybe the lighthouse area view, like over Long Island Sound
Right.
is also gorgeous in its way, but from Riverside Park is the nicest New London view of Groton across the river.
It sure is. It doesn't have an industrial view at all. It's just beautiful across the river view. It does have the nicest view from New London. Yeah.
And so many people don't know
Yeah.
about that.
And there's not people that go there at night. It's patrolled by the City of New London Police Department all the time, the Coast Guard. So for people to say that, you know, whatever they say, it's not that way at all.
It is, well, you know, and I think people are starting to turn around on
Yeah.
that because, as you know, about 4 years ago, Riverside Park Conservancy redid the bathrooms, and there was a lot of discussion, a lot of concerns that there would be vandalism, that
Right.
there would be graffiti, that, you know, they wanted, you know, stainless steel fixtures so they wouldn't break, you know. And honestly, I mean, maybe I should knock on wood, but that area has not been vandalized at all.
And it doesn't, just because we live in that area doesn't mean we're all going to vandalize our property, and that's all I'm going to
Yeah.
say.
Well, I think part
Yeah.
of it is also, though, I'm guessing that 5-6 years ago, some of the underbrush was so thick that from your, you know, back window, you could not really see into every corner of the park.
Correct.
But I bet now you can see fairly well
Right.
into the park. So, you know, people behave better when there are eyes on an area.
Exactly.
And whether it's a park or whether it's a city street, you know,
Yes.
you need to have eyes on there
Right.
for, you know, for people to feel safe and to dampen any inclination for
And
bad behavior.
I think that's good, and I think that's good with regards to Hodges Square, because all the businesses are involved and they know what's going on. Some might not come to the meetings, but at least they know what we're doing and they appreciate what we're doing, and they come out and they clean up their areas. Even just the cigarette butts from their customers or whatever. I mean, they're taking part in it. They're making a difference, which is very important for our neighborhood to look better and make it. So that's important to us. Just everyone taking part and owning what should. If everyone just took a little interest in everything, we could make the world a better place.
Yeah. Starting with our own little corner.
Yeah, just
of
a
it.
little bit.
Like the whole world, I'm not
Yeah.
quite ready for that.
Well,
but,
yeah.
but yeah, so in 2012, after you know, after the referendum, and we know there was a lot of drama involved.
Yes, there
but
was.
in the end, the park did not sell. And you mentioned, you know, former Mayor Finizio, that there was a lot of underbrush removed.
Right.
Very soon after that administration started. So we could at least start looking into the park. It didn't just look like a jungle. And then very gradually, actually, there's been more civic pride. You mentioned also, you know, perennial harmony, and if you drive along Crystal Avenue right now, you will see geraniums still in bloom because we haven't really had a hard frost. And they were actually donated by Perennial Harmony
do a lot
at
of
the
work
end
with
of
the
their,
city.
after Labor Day, when they figured no one would be buying annuals anymore. They basically loaded my truck with like their leftover.
They're great. They're
stuff.
great. They work with the people in the community.
And-
They're very good to us.
So it's been really great to see all these different participants in it. So in 2012, I know New London Landmarks and the city worked together on this creative placemaking. And I think that master plan that was created for that is still kind of being used as a guideline
It
for
is being used as the
many of the
guideline.
activities
Yeah.
going on.
They're using that as the base for a lot of different things, and Brian Kent is still involved. I know that they're still looking to put the staircase down from the school into Riverside Park,
which is really important.
It's very important because the kids, the only way they have to get into the park is by going out the back entrance of the school and walking down the street. And there's no sidewalks in the park. And the
Fortunately,
stairwell.
traffic is slow,
Exactly, but you never
it's
know.
a-
You never know who's going to be walking, if a car comes through. And it's very important that they get that stairwell. So that's still on the table, which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the city sees the need for that, because that was part of the whole plan of building that school, is uniting the park and the science magnet school,
And with the city doing that, I don't know what the time frame is. Some obvious future improvements are like rebuilding the pavilion on the
Right.
old pavilion slab. It was sort of disappointing that the state didn't take on the original plan that was presented to them for the staircase, which included outdoor classrooms.
Which would have been tremendous.
It would have been. But a 20-foot by 40-foot pavilion on the slab could be used as an outdoor classroom, and there's no reason why we can't coordinate with the schools to find out. So what do you need in this outdoor, on our pavilion to help it be used as an outdoor classroom?
And so many people could donate to that. I mean, it just doesn't have to be the Coast Guard, the museum. I mean, there's lumberyard. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people within our, within the state that could help us do that. I mean, that could be a lot of free labor, the unions, everyone. There could be so much help there. Just doesn't have to be New London only.
Right, and I know some of the corporate helpers. I spoke last summer, I think, with Dominion, and they take on one project every year. This past year, they did a water collection project for Fresh New London, but they did tell me that if we come up with a plan, they can implement it. They provide $2,500 and a bunch of labor.
Wow, that would be wonderful.
So that's something we have to think about. So yeah, anyone, the phones are, you can call in if you want, if you have some pet things that you would like to see in either Hodges Square or Riverside Park, that whole new historic district, please share.
Yeah.
But yes, so you've had events. So I think maybe we can talk a little bit about some of the current projects that the city is, in some cases, at the forefront in, and in some cases the city is a supporting player in. But all of these are projects that the city has sort of given its blessing to. And do you want to talk a little bit about the Big Jump?
The Big Jump project, the city they applied to the People for Bikes Foundation. The grant will provide a technical assistance. It's $150,000 per year for 3 years. It's the development of bike networks, and I believe Brian Kent's already hasn't he already done the pathways?
I think that in the
In their
master
plan.
plan, one of the issues was getting a bike connection, and I think Williams to Huntington is a really not currently friendly bike route because
Right.
of the traffic goes so fast, but is quite direct, so that if bike lanes could be created to make it feel safe, it could be
And
terrific.
to slow down the traffic, because they would have to share the road a little bit, but they have applied for that. The defined area for the project will be Hodges Square, connecting our neighborhood to the colleges, to downtown, and other bike networks, which they are working on. It's a 3-year project, but they're also working on other bike networks, which would include the college campus, which is a very intricate project they're working on as well, that I believe Brian did that one too.
And we don't have a lot of details about it. There was a meeting a few weeks ago at Slice Pizza that a lot of these plans were presented.
Right.
And I'm guessing that people who are interested in the details can start going to the second Monday of the month meetings.
Or go to the
And-
Hodges Square Village Association, our website, our Facebook page, because a lot of things are kept on our Facebook page. And you can click on anything, and you can find out more information. But we've gotten, just by that, we had our meeting held at Slice, and we had a lot of people. We went door to door. Me and a friend of mine, John, from the neighborhood, went door to door to our neighbors, asking them to come, and we had a good turnout at Slice, which was nice. Not only city council came out, which is great when your city council comes out to support you, but our neighbors, people who just purchased homes and everything. I've met people that purchased their home and they, said, well, now that we're state historic, but we don't want to get the plaque because, we want to update our home the way we want to update it. We don't want to follow the guidelines of the Historical Society. And I was like, well, you don't have to do that.
No.
Just because we're in that historical grouping doesn't mean you have to, as long as you don't have that plaque and join land, sign up for that, you can, update your house modern way you want. So.
And actually, I have a plaque in front of my house because it was built in 1891 or 2, we think. And we have done updating, and one of the interesting things with getting the plaque is they do a history of your house, so you find out every owner that there's been. And we really didn't do, when we put new siding in, we used that cement siding that looks like wood, old wood siding, and we really like it. I don't know that you want to put vinyl siding on, but there are, if you do, a person does own an old house and wants to do a historic restoration, there are tax credit programs.
Yeah, that's what, with this state historic, the neighborhood being a state historic now, there are incentive programs, and you get money refunded if you follow the programs and stuff. If you want to, it doesn't pay to have vinyl siding put on, but it will give you money back for having that vinyl siding taken off, which we have the original wood shingles on our house underneath the vinyl siding, which I rather have the old shingles. I like that better. I like that look better. So we might do that. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, as I say, I highly recommend the
I like
the
that.
cement
Yeah, I
siding
do like that. That looks,
because it does look nice, and it lasts and doesn't have to be it comes with the color already baked on.
I like that.
So and the historic renovation people tend to like that.
That's
because
good.
It keeps that old look. So, so we have the big jump, and with that's a People for Bikes grant to help bike connections.
Right.
And when you mention the networks, also hooking up with going to Groton.
Right.
And there's a trolley trail in Groton that was transformed into a bike trail that Brian Kent also had a hand in designing. So it would be kind of cool if people who were commuting to work at Pfizer or EB down there could, go over the bridge.
You see a lot of people from Pfizer's or EB bicycling to work. So, which is really nice that it makes it a little bit easier, bicycle friendly, which is great.
So the other, another grant, and this one was approved at by City Council about a month or so ago, the TAP grant, which is Transportation Alternatives. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, this is for infrastructure, is my understanding. The focus of the grant program is infrastructure improvements for non-motorists and community improvement activities. There's another master plan. The master plan for the creative placemaking for the Hodges Square area was completed in 2013 by Kent and Frost. And it's there's a comprehensive road safety audit was conducted in the summer for the Route 32 William Street area, which is very fast. And so the project will address recommendations for the 2 studies in partnership with Connecticut College. So The total project is $750,000 with the TAP grant request of $600,000. So the city is required to match 20% of the grant, which the city council approved that they would match that 20% if they get the grant. So, which is good. So it just gives us more money to do more infrastructure, more workings for the city, Northeast New London, Hodges Square area.
It'll be interesting to see. I have not read the details of this grant, whether the match needs to be a cash match or whether the city could, match it with in-kind donations, because sometimes that's possible if they did, like the city did, paid for the street paving and painting.
I'm not sure about that. We were unclear.
Yeah. I don't think that information was
I don't think
really
it was available or made clear to us, but I know that they did discuss it at the city council, so which was good.
Yeah, and both of these, a big jump and TAP, I mean, they could really transform what the area looks like if you're
Exactly.
walking on William Street from the college through Hodges Square to downtown. It could transform it from being a really unpleasant walk between two pretty desirable areas to
Right.
being interesting all the way. You mentioned that whole thing about the art and lighting under the overpasses, and we're seeing a lot of murals in downtown New London.
Exactly.
And it would be fantastic to see them all over the city.
It would be, and to have the lighting changed under the underpasses all the way up, because there's quite a few underpasses going up William Street. So I just don't think it should be those three underpasses closest to Hodges Square. I think it should go all the way up, the lighting. I think that would make such a difference in Hodges Square. I think we will be the up-and-coming area of New London. I know it's going to take a few years, but look how far we've come with very little or no means of funding from the city. So I think we're doing good so far.
Yeah. Well, and it does take a long time to undo, 50 years of worse than neglect, actually. When you're talking about the lighting, I just had that image that, the parking garage has the LED lighting around it. And I recently, over the past few years, we go sometimes through the Stamford train station, which also has similar LED lighting around it. And something like that under the underpasses, could be really quite nice.
Yeah, it makes it more welcoming. You don't feel nervous driving under there. It just makes it more welcoming to our neighborhood.
And, even walking, I mean, if someone lives on Vauxhall Street or that whole Post Hill area, and they'd like to go to a coffee shop, for example, in Hodges Square, you'd want them to be able to walk and feel safe doing it.
Exactly. So if you thinking about doing a coffee shop, Hodges Square would be the nice area to go to now.
Yeah, I do think it is up and coming.
Yeah, with all those college students and cadets, it would be the great place to.
It's actually kind of sad that it was allowed to go downhill the way it was. I didn't move to the area until the late 1970s, and the damage was done.
Yeah.
So I only know what it looked like from looking at old pictures. But it's just so depressing, actually, to see what happened to an area that had been thriving.
It was thriving. My husband grew up in that area. His parents owned the home. We're the third owners after his parents passed away. We purchased the home. So most of the homeowners are still on our block. We're tucked away in a little niche up in Northeast New London, and most of them are still there or have passed away. But we live in a very nice area. I mean, we're very close. We have a very good neighborhood watch group. We all watch out for each other. So I love living in New London in our little neck of the woods. So.
Right, and you have a park you can
We walk right down into the park. Someone drives into the park at night, my dogs start barking. So, we have a warning system. It's nice.
Now, you mentioned a little bit some of the Brian Kent planning, but there's also one other thing that's being worked on, another grant through the Connecticut Recreational Trails Program, and I wish we had brought a picture of this one.
Oh, I
but,
know.
But not only are there plans to make William Street and Huntington Street bike-friendly, but for students who come down, a path is being planned through the Lyman Allen Museum.
Exactly. So it'll go through the Lyman Allen, through the Connecticut College, down into Quaker Hill, because Quaker Hill did a letter of support, so they're on board with this as well. So so it will go into to their area. So it does include a large area. So there's a big bike path planned and trail path as well planned.
Yeah, and I think that's supposed to hook into the William Street.
Yeah.
Near where it goes over Route 32.
Route 32.
So,
and they're also talking about changing that fencing so it's more attractive when you walk over that 32.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And so they talked about changing that as well, so it's more attractive to people walking that pathway. So it's not like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, it's. We've had slides here in the past, I think, because I think at one point, we saw, Brian Kent's photos of himself walking from College to Hodges Square, and it just looked like it was in the middle of this wasteland.
Yeah, it does. There's no words to really describe that fencing that's on top of the...
Yeah, and there's not really much buffering, and the traffic moves really fast.
Yes.
So
you need to slow down that traffic, change the fencing, and make it more appealing for people to want to walk down to Hodges Square, to want to walk up to the pathways and trailways and the bike paths. So it'll be better for everyone.
And it's kind of funny. It's almost 20 years, I think, that the city was talking about the Vista Walkway and ways to connect the college with downtown. And the Vista Walkway took a different path. It didn't really work, and it didn't really go anywhere past the initial planning. But it seems like now maybe we're getting it right.
No, I think the city's really on board with this, and the mayor has really given his all and has said let's do this. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing for everyone involved, for the colleges, for the city, for even Quaker Hill, at them as a town right next to us. I think it's going to be good for them as well.
I think so too, because I have a friend who lives in Montville, and when the farmers market was where the parklet is, she used to come to it because it's not that far.
Yeah.
Now, one other grant that I think we won't necessarily talk about the bike lanes that are being planned for Jefferson and Chester, although it's very exciting. It's not really part of the same area. But recently there was another meeting about a working cities grant that the city is thinking about getting, and New London has already been deemed eligible. It's a economic development grant more than an infrastructure or beautification grant. And right now the city's applying for $15,000 to $20,000 for a design grant that will just lay out a plan, and maybe someday it will go to something. But you were talking about
that's the meeting that we went to at the library.
Yeah.
And that's because the city of New London is the #1 distressed city in the state of Connecticut.
Yeah.
So
I'm not sure we really are, but I'll take it if it will help us get this grant
exactly.
money.
So in being the #1 distressed city in the state of Connecticut is, really bad, but at the same time, it has its perks because now we can apply for a lot of grants. Well, the city can. And they have this coalition of all these groups working together with the city, which I think is really great. We got invited to it, and I just sat in awe of all these people that were just like coming together for the betterment of southeastern Connecticut, trying to see what they can do. And I was like, they're all coming to, well, not all, but they'd like to come to the Hodges Square meeting to see what they could do. So. So much is going on now that it's like falling into place. Everything, I mean, it'll be a few years, but within 10 years, Hodges Square is going to be this vibrant area in the city of New London. And going under those underpasses is going to be like, I remember when this was this falling apart area, and now it's going to be this vibrant area.
Well, there is a snowball effect because, I'm looking at the topics of interest that were talked about at that Working Cities planning meeting, and a lot of it is related to housing, education, increase in small business, and one of the reasons the Hodges Square area seems so attractive to pursue it is all these other improvements that are being planned for
Yes.
it, so it all kind of works together.
And they're all looking at Hodges Square because there's so much that is going on there and so much work that's being done there that they see this distressed area that is going to be up and coming. So they're excited about that.
Now we have about 3 more minutes, so if people who are watching this, how would you recommend they get involved or support the efforts?
Hodges Square Village Association meets the second Monday of each month at the Sun Turtle, which is behind Mr. G's on Bailey Circle, at 5:30. So just come in and see us. We also have a Facebook page, which is Hodges Square Village Association, and or just come to our meeting. So you will be there this month and every month after that. Forrest and I are the co-chairs. And I just recommend you come to one of our meetings and get involved. That's the best way to do it, is just get involved. Come, just say hi and get involved. That's the only way you can do it.
And I'll give a brief pitch because we're both on the Riverside Park Conservancy Board. And unfortunately, we meet the third Wednesday of every month at the Senior Center, except this month we're not. We're meeting like the second Thursday, the 8th.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
But usually we meet the third Thursday of the month at the Senior Center at 6:30. And we have a website, we have a Facebook page, so you can get in touch with us if you're interested in the more outdoorsy parts of the historic district.
And both groups, come see what it's all about. We need members, we need help. It's, everybody needs to join in, whether you're from that area or not from that area. If you live by wherever, if you live in Waterford, come help us. I mean, it's something to do.
Yeah, and actually, like in the Riverside Community Garden, some of the members don't live in New London, they work in New London.
Right.
I don't live near the park, though sometimes I feel like I should.
Yeah, you're there enough.
But really, this is a gem for all of the city of New London, the neighborhood and the park, both. So don't hesitate to get involved.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Cathi.
Thank you.
Well, next week, our guest is going to be Beth Caruso, and she just wrote a book about the Connecticut witch trials and talks about scapegoating and climates of political fear. And it'll be something totally different, but it should be interesting. So we'll see you then, and hopefully we'll see you at the Hodges Square meeting or one of the events. So see you then.
Okay.
Thanks, Cathi.
You're welcome. Thank you.